Good evening, my brothers and sisters. How are you doing this beautiful evening? Your brother Tony is at the dinner table. Come one and come all my family members, brothers and sisters. This what I got on the menu for you tonight. You will enjoy this soul food, I guarantee you. So invite some more family members and friends. You will enjoy this meal that's on the menu for tonight. Your brother Tony was looking forward to, well, was and is looking forward to discussing this particular topic with you at the dinner table. If this is your first time at the dinner table with us, my brother and sister, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tony M. Toomer, and I speak on relationships. When I speak on relationships, I basically speak on relationship from a biblical point of view. When I say a biblical point of view, I believe strongly that God had a unique relationship with the man Adam. Secondly, he had a unique relationship with the woman Eve. Thirdly, God brought the woman to the man when he created the woman from the rib of the man. And in the presence of God, Adam said, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, I should call a woman because she came from man. That's the position that I come from. Now, if you believe in any other type of relationship, God gave you a free will so you could do whatever you want to do. However, God hold you responsible, my brother and sister, for what decisions you make when it comes to a relationship. Because you got to keep in mind, God is the one that created the relationship. So you can do whatever you choose to do. You got a free will, but God way is the best way. And I see that Sister Tierra have sat down at the dinner table. How you doing, sister? I see that Sister Flo has sat down at the dinner table. How you doing, Sister Flo? I see my brother Jay Boogie is at the dinner table. How you doing? As a matter of fact, my brothers and sisters, I talk on two different platforms, live platform. I talk on the tube and I talk on the book. If you're on the book, some people that on the tube, you may not see their comments, but I will say something to them. And those of you that are on the book, I may say something to you, but those on the tube, they may not see the comment, but we're all family here, okay? So my brother and sister, go ahead and invite some more family members and friends because we got a good meal at the dinner table tonight. And with that said, my brother and sister, on the menu tonight, when you look at the menu, my brother and sister, how you doing, Sister Monica Kim? Welcome to the dinner table. Come on in. On the menu for tonight, we're going to discuss cheating. That's what we're going to discuss, cheating. Should you stay or leave? That is the question. Well, and this is going to be, excuse me, this is going to be good, my brother and sister. Cheating. Should you stay or leave? That is the question. Now, my brothers and sisters, when it comes to being in a committed relationship, one of the biggest fears for a couple, a man or a woman, is cheating, when cheating come knocking at your door. Now, no man or no woman wants his or her mate to cheat on them. You know, no man or no woman wants their mate to cheat on you. But it can occur. We don't want it to occur, but can a man or woman work it out if it does happen? Would the man or woman decide to work it out, or would the man or woman decide to, walk away from it? So this is what we're going to talk about at the dinner table tonight: cheating. Now, my brother and sister, I'm bringing out the appetizer first. The appetizer, um, and we're going. When I say appetizer, we about to hit some terminology, okay, so you can see where I'm coming from. The first thing, as far as the appetizer go, we're going to define the word cheating in a relationship. Now, the word, when I go to the dictionary, the word cheating in a relationship is defined as the act of being unfaithful to a spouse or other partner. It typically means engaging in sexual or romantic relation with a person other than one significant other, breaking a committed or promise in the act. The second thing we're going to have as part of this appetizer is a committed relationship. Now, a committed relationship, my brother and sister, is clearly defined as interpersonal relationship based upon an agreed upon a commitment to one another involved with love, trust, honesty, openness, and other behavior. Forms of committed relationship include those of friendship, long-term relationship, engagement, marriage, and a civil union. The next word we're going to talk about. How you doing, Sister Teresa? Toomer, welcome to the dinner table. Now, there's another terminology, and you all have heard me throwing this around recently. I said free agent. Now, what is a free agent? A free agent is defined as a person who does not have any commitment that restricts their action. That's what a free agent is. Now, the word single. The word single, we have an idea of what the word single, but let's go to the dictionary and say what the dictionary says about the word single. Now, the word single is defined as someone who is not involved in any type of romantic relationship, including a long-term dating, engagement, and marriage. And that leaves one more thing. Being married. What does being married mean? It means a formal union or social and legal contract between two individuals that unite their lives legally, economically, and emotionally. Adultery. Adultery, what does that mean? Now, adultery is a voluntary sexual intercourse between a married person and a person who is not his or her spouse, which leads, if you're not married, now listen to me carefully, my brother, sister, if you're not married and you get into that physical thing, it's called fornication. Now, fornication is defined as sexual intercourse between people that are not married to each other. Now, my brother and sister, this is the question that I need to ask each one of you. And this included myself. I'm asking myself the question too. Brother, in your lifetime, have you ever cheated in a relationship? Now, listen carefully, my brother. You ain't got to raise, my brother, you ain't got to raise your hand. In your lifetime, have you ever cheated in a relationship? Now, sister, I'm coming to you. You don't have to raise your hand. Have you, sisters, in your lifetime, ever cheated in a relationship? Now, collectively, brothers and sisters, in your lifetime, have you ever cheated in a relationship? Sister Teresa says she ain't never cheated in a relationship. All right, then. Sister Teresa says she ain't never cheated in a relationship. Any more brothers and sisters that are brave? Or do I hear crickets out there? Now, there are 8 types of cheating, my brother and sister. I'm going to go over it shortly. There are 8 types of cheating because we're on the main course now. We have moved through the appetizer and we're about to get into the main course, okay? Now, the question is whether it comes down, my brother and sister, when it comes to cheating, it really comes down to whether you married or you single. That's what it comes down to, okay? Now, so that we can say whether a relationship that you're involved in can be cheating if your partner is involved with someone other than you. So it's going to come down to how you're doing. Sister Tiara said, I never cheated. Okay. We're going to see, because it's going to be 8 things that I'm about to list. You see whether or not you actually cheated or not, my brother and sister. Because like I said, most people consider cheating. I'll get to that shortly. But let me tell you this, my brother and sister. You got to understand this. Sister Teresa said, I was faithful till he died. Okay. Amen. Amen. Now, let me tell you something, my brother and sister. If you notice the question that I asked, I say, have you ever cheated in a relationship? in a relationship. Now, there are different types of relationship that could be committed relationships, okay? Now, you know how I talk, right? I talk about spiritual things as well as I talk about carnal, okay? So let me tell you this, my brother and sister, to tell you the truth. Listen to me carefully. I have cheated in a relationship. I have cheated in a relationship. I have cheated in a relationship several times. Brother and sister, you have cheated in a relationship several times. I'm going to tell you why I said that. Let's go back to the Garden. Let's go back to the Garden of Eden, okay? The first relationship that cheating came up on was when Adam and Eve cheated against God spiritually. Adam and Eve cheated on God. God had provided Adam and Eve with everything they need. They betrayed God when they got in cahoots with Satan. So to be truthful, my brother and sister, we all have cheated against God, because you see, when I said cheat against God, it was from a spiritual level, okay? I'm guilty of cheating against God many times. You, brother, and you, sister, if you're honest, you cheated on God. Every man and every woman have cheated in a relationship with God, meaning we were not 100% true to God. And I'm the first one to say I was not 100% true to God spiritually. So, my brother and sister, if you were not 100% committed to God, how can you be 100% committed to a man or a woman? You see, this is about to get deep when I'm talking about. If you have cheated against God with Satan, anytime, my brother and sister, that you have sinned, you were led by Satan. All of us have cheated against God with Satan. We must be true, my brother and sister. We must be true. It started with Adam and Eve, and it came down. And that's on a spiritual level. That's the deepest level you can get, and that's a relationship. Whenever we supposed to have a relationship with God, right? But we went the opposite way. So if we were not 100%, like I said, if we were not 100% straight with God, how can we be 100% faithful with a man or a woman? And when I name these 8 points, you're going to see what I'm talking about shortly. Okay, now, since I got that out of the way, we're going to talk about 8 types of cheating, okay, from a secular standpoint. So I have set the stage, okay. Now we at the main course. The first thing that comes to people's mind, my brother and sister, when it comes to cheating, is sex. That's the very first time. When you mention sex, the first thing that comes to most men and women mind, it goes straight to sex. But that's not the only form of cheating. But it's more than that. We are going to discuss this right now at the dinner table. Number one, if a man and a woman are in a committed relationships, now I'm going to name 8 points. Now, once I name the 8 points, tell me, my brother and sister, whether you have not violated one of the 8 points, okay? Be honest with yourself before you say anything to the brothers and sisters tonight. Number one, if you're in a committed and covenant, if you're in a serious committed covenant relationship, have you ever committed financial infidelity? What is financial infidelity? That's when you are in a relationship with your spouse and you did something with the resources that you didn't want your mate to know nothing about. Have any of you ever had your money with your spouse, your significant other, and You probably could have went to the bank or something and you gave somebody, and it was supposed to be an agreement between you and your partner about the money. You don't do nothing without consulting the other partner before you do anything. Have any of you ever, for example, went into the kitty pot and got some money out and did something that your spouse, that your spouse didn't even know nothing about, and you will, in your mind, you said, I'm gonna put it back in the kitty before my spouse ever know about it. Have you ever loaned your relatives or friends some money or gave them some money, and they said they were gonna loan you some money? They were gonna they asked you for a loan. You didn't talk it over with your mate, so you may have been control of the money. So you went ahead and loaned your family member or friends, or you did something with the money, and you were thinking he or she ain't gonna know about it because I'm gonna ease it in, and he or she doesn't know about it. Have you ever did anything? Have you ever committed financial infidelity? Number two, another question: emotional cheating. What is emotional cheating? Emotional cheating, my brother and sister, is you got emotionally attached to someone of the opposite sex, and you share some deep things with that person when you should have been sharing that stuff with your mate. Or your mate don't know about this person that you got a emotional tie to. This ain't got nothing to do with the physical part yet. My brother and sister, look at yourself. Have you ever, or do you currently have a deep relationship with someone other than your spouse? Now, some of you brothers and sisters, the person that you're in a relationship with, some of you brothers, you know of a lady from your past that you may call her your best friend. Some of you sisters, you may have a man from your past that you call your best friend. It may not be nobody from your past. It could be somebody current, but you find yourself opening it up more to that other person than your mate. And to cap that out, your mate may not even know about that person. Your mate doesn't know about you had certain conversation with the person of the opposite sex. And you make sure that you said this supposedly in, you supposed to said this in a way whereas you didn't think that person was going to say nothing to nobody, but you share. You see, the thing about it, my question to you, my brother, have you shared your deepest hopes, your dreams, and your hurt with another person deeper, on a deeper level than you did with your mate? If you have cheated, because you keeping your mate out of the loop. Number three, have any of you brothers and sisters cyber cheated? Have any of you cyber cheated? What I'm talking about? I'm talking about text messages, and I'm talking about emails and stuff like that. Have you did anything like that? Have any of you brothers and sisters that use social media, have you been secretly conversing with someone else that your mate doesn't know about? Have any of you brothers or sisters been getting any good morning messages from somebody of the opposite sex that you know your mate would not like? Have you, brother and sister, sent good morning texts and all that kind of stuff to someone that you had a little feeling for, but your mate doesn't know about it? Have you, my brother and sister, had phone calls with someone and your mate did not know about it? That's cyber cheating. Number four, my brothers and sisters, physical cheating without sex. Have any of you brothers and sisters, what do I mean by physical cheating without sex? You have done some things with a person of the opposite sex. The only thing that was left out was the penetration. That can go for oral, that could be funneling out. It could be kissing, it could be hugging, it could be holding hand, but you stop when it got close to the penetration. Have any of you brothers or sisters in your lifetime committed physical cheating without sex with someone else that your mate doesn't know about? Have any of you brothers and sisters went out to lunch? Have you went out to dinner? Have you went to the movies? Have you went on a trip? Have you met up with someone that your mate doesn't know about and you don't want your mate to know about? But y'all do everything together, but you don't do the penetration. Number 5, objective cheating. This is when you can get emotional involved with other things other than your mate. So you depriving your mate of time. You understand? You depriving your mate of time. Your mate want time with you, but you won't make no time because you got a hobby or something else that you put more of your energy into than your mate. That's a form of cheating because you're cheating your mate out of time. Here go another one. Same sex cheating. Have you, brother, or you, sister, out of curiosity, tried to have a relationship with someone of your same gender, but you supposed to be heterosexual? Have you ever did anything with somebody else, kiss and all that kind of stuff, whereas you supposed to be doing that kind of stuff only with your mate, heterosexual? 7, micro cheating. What is micro cheating? Have any of you other brothers or sisters, have you ever, or have you, or do you have, are you secretly on a dating app? You could have used to be on a dating app a long time ago, but you didn't delete your profile. And every now and then, you may go to your dating app, but your mate don't know nothing about it. You got a secret life. Now, 8, sexual cheating. Now, this is what most people can relate to. My brothers and sisters, have you in your life had a sexual cheated with someone else when you was in a relationship with somebody else? Now we get into the dessert. You still want to know the answer to should you stay or leave? That's the question. We're about to get to that. So let those things ponder in your mind from the main course. Now here go the dessert. Let's go to Jesus and see what Jesus think about this topic. Okay, let's see what Jesus got to say. First of all, from Jesus' point of view, my brother and sister, when it comes to cheating, or should I say it differently, Jesus said it starts in the heart. From a spiritual standpoint, Jesus said it starts in the heart. Now, Jesus is going to talk about a certain type of relationship that you need to be in for what he's saying. So as it is written in Matthew 5:28, Matthew 5:28, Matthew 5:28, Matthew 5:28, it said, but I say unto you that whomsoever look on a woman to lust after her had committed adultery with her already in his heart. Now listen to what Jesus is saying in Matthew 5:28. Jesus is talking about cheating, but he also gave cheating a name. He said adultery. And what did I say adultery is? Adultery is voluntary sexual intercourse between a married person and a person who is not his or her spouse. That's what Jesus talking about. So Jesus said again, Jesus said, but I say unto you that whosoever look on a woman to lust after her have already committed adultery with her in his heart. And that could be vice versa. He could have said this, and it meant this, it basically means the same thing. Whosoever look on a man to lust after him have already committed adultery with him already in her heart. So Jesus saying it takes place in the heart. Jesus used the word adultery. Notice Jesus didn't say a man and a woman dating. He didn't say that. He didn't say nobody living together. He didn't say that. Jesus went straight to the point. He said adultery. And adultery is having relations with somebody other than your spouse. Remember the terminology that I said earlier? I read some definition. I said single. Single is defined as someone who is not involved in any romantic relationship, including long-term dating, engagement, marriage. And then I read the term and I read the definition of being married. It is defined as a formal union and social and legally contract between two individuals that unite their life legally, economically, and emotionally. And then there's another word that I purposely put in there. I said free agent. What is a free agent? A free agent is a person who does not have any commitment that restricts their actions. Fornication. What is fornication? Fornication is defined as sexual intercourse between people that are not married to each other. Now, Jesus, going back to what Jesus said, Jesus did not say whosoever look on a woman and lust after her have already committed fornication with her. He didn't say that. He did not say that. He said adultery. So, what am I talking about? I'm talking about from Jesus' point of view, my brothers and sisters, from Jesus' point of view, going back to the topic, it said cheating. Should I stay or should I leave? Remember, I always say, my brother and sister, I say, before God look at a relationship between a man and a woman. That man and woman, they are engaged, leading towards marriage, or they're married. That's how God see it. You don't see God. You know what, my brother and sister, I had a DeWalt thinking about relationship. When I was not married, I called myself in a relationship, and I was not married, and I called myself in a relationship. Now, from the world point of view, I could say that was my woman or my girlfriend. Or when I lived with a woman, I could say that my woman, but I was not married to her. You understand? A woman used to stay with me, but we did eventually get married, okay? We did eventually get married because, as some of you know, I have been divorced, okay? So I'm just letting you all know I have been divorced before. And remember what I said about divorce. When you go to Corinthians, it said, if the unbeliever leave, you are not in bondage in such a case. Okay, that's what happened, okay? But I'm not going to go into the much detail, but it was a situation that goes straight to what Corinthians say. If the unbeliever decide to leave, you let them go. You're not in bondage in such a case, okay? But if I was living with a woman and if there was any sexual interaction, if we weren't married, what was it? It was fornication. It was not no making love. It was none of that. When you look at it from God's point of view, I was sinning. I was fornicating. Now, if I'm married and if I have sexual intercourse with another woman, it's adultery. It's not no affair. You understand? The world say affair, but God say adultery. Because he will another woman other than my wife. So that is defined as adultery. And in order for me to have sex with another woman, or you brother, you sister, to have sex with someone else, to be defined as adultery, you have to be married and not single. You see, my brother and sister, if you're single, you're a free agent. And if you're a free agent and you having sex with somebody else, it's not making love, it's fornication. So we got to get the definition clear. And I did a whole bunch of that fornication. Like a lot of you brothers and sisters looking at me now, y'all did a lot of fornication. Some of you going to fornicate this week. Hopefully you don't, you single brother and sister, but your brother Tony, he guilty of it. Like some of you are guilty. Some of you brothers and sisters, you know I'm telling the truth. Now, the topic still say, cheating, should you stay or leave? That is the question. Now, we're still talking about Jesus, okay? Let's go to a little story. Jesus was caught up in a situation. When I said Jesus was caught up in a situation, that's right, Jay Boogie. Jesus was caught up in a situation. And we're going to John chapter 8, 3 through 11. John chapter 8, 3 through 11. John chapter 8, 3 through 11. And this is how it goes. This is the scene I'm reading straight from God's word. It say, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought in a woman caught in adultery. So Jesus was teaching, and these Pharisees and teachers of the laws, they were always trying to trap Jesus up in something. So they just abruptly brought a woman to Jesus. And they said they brought a woman caught in adultery. They made her stand before the group and said to Jesus. Now they're gonna put the woman in front of everybody. They're gonna bust her out, and then they put her in front of Jesus. You see, it was more than the woman committing adultery. They were trying to trap Jesus. Okay, keep that in mind. So they said, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery." So if this woman was caught in the act of adultery, was she single or she was married? Or the man married and she's single? They said she was caught in adultery. So that meant that that means she was single and messing with a married man, or she was married and messed with a married man or a single man. Let me say that again. She could have been a single woman. Let me just clear this up. She could have been a single woman and she was messing with a married man. Okay? That's one scenario. She could have been single, messing with a married man. Or she could have been married, messing with a single man. Or other than that, she could have been married. The man could have been married, but they was caught. But you see, I said, but they was caught, but that ain't all what happened. They said, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery." And then they want to go to Moses' law. They said this, "In the law, Moses commanded us to stone such a woman." Then they said, "Now, what do you say?" You see, they were trying to get Jesus trapped. They said, "Now, what you say?" Moses said this. Now, if you're supposed to be the Lord and everything, you're supposed to agree with what Moses said. This is what Jesus did. It said, "But what do you say?" They were using the question as a trap in order to have a base of accusing him. So it was a setup. They used this woman as a setup. But it said, "But Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger." You see, Jesus listened to him. He was standing up and he was just listening to him, right? Then while they were doing when they were just bumping their gum, Jesus just bent down and started writing something on the ground. It didn't say what he was writing. And then they said, when they kept on questioning him, they kept on pressing Jesus, kept on. I can imagine them. They really wanted to get Jesus, okay? Then it said he straightened up and he said to them, that means Jesus started writing on the ground. He stood up, he looked at them, and now Jesus finna answer their question. "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." Again, he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Now listen to what Jesus said. Jesus threw something out there for them to deal with. Jesus basically said, "He that without sin throw the first stone." Marinate on that. And then it said again, he stooped down and wrote on the ground. At this, those who heard began to go away one at a time. You know why they started going away one at a time? Because they knew that they had done something wrong. It may not have been adultery, but they did something wrong. And their own conscience whooped them. So it say, at that time, those who heard began to go away one at a time. The oldest one first, until only Jesus was left with the woman standing there. So everybody left. Isn't it amazing, my brother and sister, when Jesus threw that out there, nobody didn't pick up no stone and stone the woman? Isn't it amazing? Just think about it. That meant that everybody did something wrong. That meant that God caused them through his son Jesus to prick their hearts and go into their secret lives. You know what I mean, my brother and sister? So they was guilty of something. That's why they left the woman with Jesus, because they couldn't, nobody could throw no stone. That's just what I'm saying to you, my brother and sister. We cannot throw no stones at no one. You understand? I can't throw no stones at nobody. You can't throw no stones at nobody either. Then it say, Jesus straightened up and asked her. This is what Jesus asked the woman. He said, woman, where are they? Have no one condemned you? And then she said, no, sir. That's what she said. Then that's what Jesus said. Then neither do I condemn you, Jesus declared. Go now and leave your life of sin. Now, going back to the question, what we talking about tonight? It said, cheating. Should you leave or stay? That is the question. Cheating. Now, my brother and sister, let's say you are in a serious, committed, and covenant relationship. As I said earlier, when it comes to being in a committed relationship, one of the biggest fears in a relationship, going into a relationship or in a relationship, is your mate cheating on you. And I have listed those 8 points of cheating. Remember what I said? I said it could have been financial infidelity. I said it could have been emotional cheating. I said it could have been cyber cheating. It could have been physical cheating without sex. It could have been object cheating, where you put your time more to other things and other people than your mate. Or same sex, you're going to experiment, but you're supposed to be quote unquote heterosexual. Micro cheating, where you got a secret app, or sexual cheating, where you actually got physical with someone. Those are 8 forms of cheating, my brothers and sisters. Now, in order for you, brother, in order for you, sister, and I know some of you not going to agree with it, brother and sister, and this is including me. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use myself as an example. When I was in college, some of you have heard it before. When I was in college, let me give you a situation. I was in college. I was dating this young lady, right? I was dating this young lady. And at that particular time, I'm saying that this woman is mine. And she saying that I'm her man too, right? So anyway, I was in college. I was at that particular time in college, my brother and sister, I thought I was all that in a bag of chips. I never thought that a woman would trespass against me. Okay, that's what that's how I was. I was over the top. So I walked into the library. And when I walked into the library, there was a guy standing up there talking to her, right? So I walked up there and he said, hey, how you doing, man? I said, hey, how you doing? I didn't think nothing much of it, right? I didn't feel no vibes or anything. So he smoothly walked off. Everybody got pattern and behavior. So a couple of weeks went by. So I knew her pattern and behavior. It was a Friday night. This particular Friday night, I called her. She didn't answer her phone. I'm accustomed to her answering the phone. Like I said, everyone got pattern behavior. So I started calling her because I wanted to see her. So it was like I started at 8, and I was during that particular time. Keep in mind, I was a young, naive person, but I thought I was all that and bad. I was calling her to about 1 o'clock in the morning. She still won't answer that phone. And you know what Sutton told me? Sutton said, go riding. So I went riding. And when I went riding, I went to her house. Her car wasn't there. And I'm saying to my mind, where could she be at this time of the morning? So I waited for a while. She still didn't show up. So when I pulled out and I was going up the highway, guess what? I seen her car go past me. So I made a U-turn. When I made a U-turn, I pulled up on it and I said, where you been? Now, I'm asking this woman, where you been? Keep in mind, she was not my wife. So why would I get that upset at her? I wasn't engaged to her. She wasn't engaged to me. But you see, that's the mindset still of some men and women. You're not engaged to the man or woman. You're not married to the man or woman, but you thinking y'all got a relationship like husband and wife, but you don't. That's how I was thinking, my brother and sister. So looking back, I shouldn't have even got all upset because guess what? She still was a free agent. I wasn't engaged to that woman. I was not married to that woman. So how can I say she was cheating? But I defined that cheating during that time. Let me tell you what happened. I asked her where she went. She was at. And she told me some kind of belong that she went to the washing mat. And I'm saying, you went to the washing mat at this time, and then she blew it off. So a couple of more weeks went by, but that still bothered me. You see, the math was not right, my brother, sister, because you see, 1 + 1 always equal 2. It never equal 3, right? So this one particular night, she came to where I was at, and she picked me up, and we went riding. Then she brought me back home. And then when I was about to get out the car, I said, let's have an honest talk. And she said, what you want to talk about? I said, since we've been together, have you ever cheated on me? And she said, this is how she said, it's possible. And I said, what do you mean it's possible? You either did it or you didn't. And she said, well, it's possible I could have did it. I said, what did you do? And she said, I did it. And when she said I did it, you all know what I said. You know what came up then? I said, okay, who was it? She didn't want to tell me. I said, who was it? Because you see, when she said she cheated, the first thing that came to my mind is what I said earlier at the dinner table. I said, when it comes to cheating, the first thing that comes to our minds is sex, right? That's the first thing. Okay? That's the first thing that comes to our mind. Okay. So I said, who was it? And she said, you don't know him. I said, who was it? She said, she finally said, she said, you know when you came into the library a few weeks ago? I said, yeah. And then when she said, when you came to the library, I knew who she was talking about then, right? And then I said, when did it happen? And she said, it just happened. I said, when did it happen? And she said, one Friday night, I went to this frat party. And when I went to this frat party, he was there. When she said one Friday night, I went to that frat party, you know what? My mind say it was a Friday night a few weeks ago when I rode by her house, right? When I was blowing up her phone. And then I said, wait a minute. You said Friday night. That's the night when you lied and said you went to the washmat. So she didn't even address that. And then I said, okay, where did it happen? And she said, what different does it matter? I said, where did it happen? And she said, I went to his dorm. I said, you went to his dorm? She said, yeah, I went to his dorm. I said, what did you think was going to happen when you went to his dorm? And she said, well, I didn't think nothing was going to happen. I said, you did know what was going to happen when you went to his dorm. And then I started hurting myself more, my brother, sister. I started saying, okay, how did it happen? When you got to his dorm, and I shouldn't have did this, my brother, sister, but keep in mind, I was a young college student, and I was over the top, and I was angry, I was hurt, and all that kind of stuff. So I said, how did it happen? And she said, well, I said, did he kiss you or you kiss him? How did it go? She said, what different man? I said, who did it? She said, it just happened. I said, it don't just happen. And then I said, okay, did he start fondling you? Are you funneling him? I said, how did it go? So she finally told me everything. And the more information she told me, my brother and sister, it was like some knife just stabbing on the inside. Bam, 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 bam. Should you stay or should you leave? I should not have gotten all upset, my brother and sister. And what I'm saying right now, my brother and sister, listen to this. If you are not engaged to a person, if you're not married to a person, from God's point of view, now from the world point of view, you may say y'all together. But from God's point of view, my brother and sister, even in my situation, we were not engaged. We were not married. She was a free agent. What does a free agent mean? It's defined as a person who does not have a commitment that restricts their actions. So my brother and sister, until a man and a woman be serious enough and committed enough to get engaged, moving towards marriage with a married date, or they could bypass the engagement and get married. Because God only looks at a relationship, my brother and sister, is if you're moving from engagement to marriage or you married. Because if you look at it this way, my brother and sister, remember Jesus say, in order for a man and woman to cheat in a relationship, I gave you some point, but Jesus' point of view is he zeroed in on adultery. You understand? Jesus zeroed in on adultery. Let's go back to the Garden of Adam. Let's go back to the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve, they cheated on God spiritually. You understand? They both had a relationship with God spiritually. They committed spiritual adultery against God. What did God do? God still loved Adam and Eve. He loved them enough to cover them up, even though they had to face some consequences. The consequences was that they were going to die. When they ate that forbidden fruit, they died then. What does that mean? They died spiritually. Their connection with God, it was cut, but he still cared for them. Not only did he care for them, they had to move from paradise, the Garden of Eden. But God still cared for them. He still cared for them. Just like this, my brother and sister, God cared for us when we do wrong against him. God take us back when we do things against him. So if now some men and women, they'll say that when it comes to cheating, that's the final straw with some men and women. That's the final straw. Some men and women say, I'm not gonna be no fool. He cheated on me. It's over. That's what some women say. He cheated on me. It's over. And some men say she cheated on me. It's over. It's a wrap. Let me tell you this, my brother and sister, when it comes to a relationship, you, brother, and you, sister, do not know what's going to happen in that relationship. Now, some men and women, they think that you have to have problems to violate the relationship. Listen to it. I'm going to say it 2 more times. Some men and women think that you have to have problems to violate the relationship. Some men and women think you have to have problems to violate the relationship. No, everything could be going smooth. Go back to the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve, they had a perfect relationship. They was in a perfect environment. Everything was good. Everything was good, but they left the nest. And they did wrong. Adam and Eve were flawless. They were perfect. But Adam and Eve had what is called a free will. When it comes to a free will, Adam and Eve decided whether or not they were going to have a more in-depth relationship with God, or whether they were going to take a chance and see what was on the other side. And we know what decision Adam and Eve made. And you know what? Should you stay or should you go? Let me tell you this, my brother and sister. What causes divorces mostly between men and women? It's not adultery. Most of the time, it's finance. And then sometimes divorce. Let me tell you this, my brother and sister. When it comes to cheating in a relationship, listen to me carefully. When it comes to cheating relationship, it seems like mostly women are more forgiving than men. It really does. It seems like when it comes to cheating in a relationship, it seems like women are more forgiving and try to work through it more than men. Whereas men in general, if a man find out that his woman was cheating with another man, most men would say it's definitely over with. You know why most men would say it's definitely over with? Because of the pride and ego thing. You understand? That's why most men, if they find out that their woman was having time with another man, they can't handle it. That goes back to this movie, my brother and sister. You remember that movie? And I have mentioned this before. It was this movie that Robert Redford was in, and Debbie Moore. You all remember that movie? It was like, and I could tell you what it was. It was the rich millionaire Robert Redford. It was Indecent Proposal. Indecent Proposal. Remember when Robert Redford offered this couple $1 million. He offered this man $1 million just to be with his wife one night. That's all he said. He was going to give Robert Redford $1 million just to be with his wife one night. So he thought he could handle it, but he couldn't handle it. He had some problem with it. Indecent Proposal. Let me tell you this, my brother and sister. When you get into a relationship, now what I'm about to say, I'm not endorsing it. Listen to me carefully. I'm not endorsing cheating. The question is, should you stay or should you leave? That is the question. It's not like William Shakespeare would say, to be or not to be. That is the question. Sister Moore said, I was both in the marriage. I was in my ex-husband cheating, and he was terrible with financing, and he was selfish. He hid money, and it was just a mess. I'm not a selfish person. Thank you, Sister Moore, for sharing that with us. And like I said, my brother, Sister Moore said, I seen Indecent Proposal. Yeah, she know what I'm talking about. Some of you all have seen it too. But let me tell you, my brother and sister, when you get into a relationship, brother, with a woman, Sister J Booker said, the great movie. Let's just be realistic, my brothers and sisters. Listen to this. Even if you're not married, if you're single and you're sitting here at the dinner table, listen up, my brother and sister. If you get into a relationship with a man or a woman, you got to understand it first. That person that you're in a relationship with have cheated against God. Just like you have cheated against God. We all have cheated against God spiritually. So if you have cheated against God spiritually, how are you going to be 100 with a man or a woman? It still come down to your free will. You don't have, when we sinned against God, we didn't have to do it. We made a decision to do it. We was tempted, but God had a way for us to get out of it. Because the Bible clearly say that we are all tempted. We're all tempted. And when we tempted, Satan tempted us, my brother and sister. We're all tempted. Even Jesus was tempted. Oh yeah, that's right, sister. More. She said Woody Harrelson played the husband. That's right. You all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. We're all tempted, my brothers and sisters. Listen to this. We're all tempted. Satan will tempt your relationship. Brothers, sisters, you can be married. Listen to me carefully. You could be engaged, especially if you get married. Okay, Sister Tierra, you could be married, you could be engaged, about to get married, or you could get married. You're going to be tempted. The more you follow the Lord, my brother and sister, and if you're in a serious, committed, and covenant relationship, you're going to be tempted, okay? You're going to be tempted. Let's put that out there. Satan know what you like, brother. He know what you like, sister. He's going to tempt you in different ways. Like I said, the 8 points that I just named, I said financial infidelity. I said emotional cheating. That's when you tied up with somebody else emotionally when it should be going to your mate. Cyber cheating. That's the little secret text, the good mornings and all that kind of stuff, going to lunch, dinner with someone else. That leads to little stuff. But the cyber cheating, that's electronic. That's the texting and the emailing and doing, and then making those phone calls when your mate ain't around. When your mate go to another room, or especially though, if there's some men and women, they take their telephone everywhere they go. There's some men and women, instead of having the phone where you can see the screen, they'll turn their phone like that. They guard their telephone. If they go to work or something, or finna go out, and they'll make home and they discover that their cell phone, that they make a big U-turn and be sweating trying to get to that house to get that cell phone. Because a lot of them, they know that the evidence is in the cell phone. It go down in those cell phones. Cyber cheating. Physical cheating without sex. That's kissing somebody else, hugging somebody else, doing all that, but no penetration. Object cheating. That's when you get emotionally involved with other people and things, and you depriving your mate. Same sex. Some people, they experience going to the other side, the dark side. Micro cheating, those secret day naps. You got those secret day naps going on. And sexual cheating, when you actually penetrate. That's what I'm saying on the dessert part. Most women, when it comes to the cheating part, they're more forgiving. Women, I got to say this, women are more forgiving than men. Now, there are some men that will forgive. That's why, my brother and sister, when you get engaged or get married, you got to look at your mate like he or she is a human. Don't only look at your mate as he or she is human. Look at yourself. You're human. You don't know what you're going to do, brother. You don't know what you're going to do, my sister. You don't know. You could think that you're going to know what you're going to do, but you don't know. Did you know you were going to cheat against God? Did you know when you did something that you went ahead and did something wrong when you know it was going to hurt God? Or did you go ahead and do it and then you say, well, God will forgive me? He'll forgive. I can do this. He'll forgive me. Yes, God can and God will. But how would you feel if your mate did something? Can you forgive your mate? If you want God to forgive you, can you forgive your mate? Now, God have forgiven us, my brother and sister, for violating our relationship with him so many times. He have done it. So will a man or woman say that God is a fool for taking us back? Would any brother and any sister right now say that God is a fool for taking us back when we spiritually cheated on him, when we played with the devil? Is there any man or woman right now at the dinner table that could say God is the fool for taking us back? How many times, my brother and sister, have we told God that forgive me, but I ain't gonna do that no more? But we did what we told God we weren't gonna do no more. I know myself, my brother and sister, I'm a prime example. I have told God that I wasn't gonna do something and I end up doing it again. I'm just being straight to the point. I have violated God. I have violated the relationship with God and I several times. And at that time, when I told God, forgive me, Lord, I'm not going to do it no more. And then I end up doing it again. You know what Paul said? Paul wrote this. Paul basically, and I'm paraphrasing it, Paul, when you get saved, my brother and sister, you got two things going on. It's a spiritual battle. You got the spirit and the flesh. And I'm paraphrasing it. Paul said that the things that I don't want to do, I do it. And the thing that I should do, I don't do it. You understand what Paul's saying? So it's an ongoing war, my brother and sister. You every day you're battling the spirit and the flesh. You're supposed to walk out the spirit, but Paul knew it, and we can all relate to it. It's something like Paul said. Paul said it again. Some of the things that I would do, I don't do. Some of the things that I don't want to do, I do. And Paul said, it's not me, it's the sin that dwelleth in me. So it's two natures, my brother and sister. We're supposed to follow the spirit, not the flesh. Even John said this, my brother and sister. John said, if a man said that he has no sin, the truth ain't in him. But if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, that's just like an attorney, like Jesus. Don't you realize, my brother and sister, every time we do wrong, Jesus talking to God the Father all the time. Jesus reminded God the Father, look, he or she is saved. You see the blood on them, Father. I died for him. I died for her. You understand? Jesus is an advocate with for us 24/7, 7 days a week. What if Jesus decide to not take us back no more? What if Jesus decide to leave us? The question is, should I stay? Should you stay or should you leave? Jesus is the only one, my brother and sister, that should lead the relationship with us. He's the only one. There's not one man or one woman that should look at his or her mate in a way where they're not no good. That's why, my brother and sister, when you get into a relationship, you don't go into the relationship thinking that your mate won't do nothing. The only thing you could do, my brother and sister, is say, I hope that my mate won't do anything. That's the only thing you could do. But you got to understand it, my brother and sister. Don't go into the relationship putting your mate on a pedestal. That's the flaw that some people do. They put their mate on a pedestal. And when you put your mate on a pedestal, you replacing Jesus with your mate. That's why some people, you can't handle when things come your way, when the storms of the relationship come. You can't handle it because you should not have put that man on a pedestal or that woman. Now, I love my wife. But I can't say what she have done or what she will do. I can't say it. And the only thing I can say, I would like to think that she wouldn't do it. That's the only thing I can say. I would like to think that she wouldn't do it, but I don't know. I don't be around my wife 24/7, 7 days a week. It don't take that long to do things. She know my pattern, she know my behavior, and the same thing. She don't know what I will do or what I won't do. The only thing she could hope is that I don't do it. But if you do it, it's a possibility that you can do it, my brother. So that's what I'm saying. But I'm not trying to say do it. I'm just telling you, my brother, so there's a possibility because it starts in the heart first. It's a possibility. You could be in the best situation and go astray. Ask Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve, that's the prime example, my brother and sister. Adam and Eve was in the perfect situation. They didn't have to want for nothing. They just had one boundary. And you know what the one boundary was? Don't eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Everything else, they were free to do. They were free to eat from all the trees. They were free. They was happy. They had a relationship with God and they had a relationship with one another. God just gave them one boundary. Just one. And they violated that. So my brother and sister, my question to you, what if your mate go beyond the boundary? Are you going to forgive him or her like God forgave you, or are you going to hold it against them? And to tell you the truth, my brother and sister, this is some hard teaching when I'm talking to you tonight. There's not one man or one woman that could hold nothing over his or her mate. None of us can't hold nothing over our mate. God wants us to forgive. Peter asked Jesus, how many times shall I forgive my brother? Jesus said 7 times 70. But that was just an illustration. Jesus saying, keep forgiving, keep forgiving. Then, the world of people say, I can't forgive. And the world of people say, I'm not Jesus. Nope, you're not Jesus. But if you want Jesus to forgive you, you got to forgive your brother and sister, especially your mate. You got to forgive them, my brother and sister. That's how it go. It go hand in hand. If you don't forgive, you won't be forgiven. You got to forgive, my brother, and you got to forgive, my sister. Should you stay or should you leave? When it comes to cheating, my brother and sister, what you need to do is, before you decide to leave a relationship, pray to God. Pray to God for wisdom. Talk to your mate. And like I said last night, at last night dinner table, remember I said this. I said, if your mate asks you whether or not you have cheated on him or her, don't lie to him. Don't lie to your mate, my brother, sister. Now, some of you saying, well, he or she may leave. They may leave. They may leave. But you see, the thing about it, what they're going to remember is this: you told them the truth. Now, if you lie to your mate, my brother and sister, the thing about a lie, it's going to come back. It may take years. Let's say, my brother and sister, your mate asks you, have you been with another man or woman since y'all been together? And you know you have. But you said, no, I haven't. Years go by. And then the truth come out. And then your mate leave you then. That's why, my brother and sister, if you're going to lose it, telling the truth. Just lose telling the truth. I know you don't want to tell the truth in a situation like that. What man want to tell his wife, yes, I cheated on you? If she asks. What man want to tell his wife that? What woman want to tell her husband if he say, have you cheated on me? What woman want to tell her husband the truth? There's not one man or one woman that want to be thrilled to tell his or her mate the truth about something like that. There's not one. That's a hard conversation. That's a hard conversation. And I could tell you this, my brother and sister, I'm glad that when I was in college, I was not married. I was a free agent. That young lady that I was dating at that time, she was a free agent. And I'm glad during that time, I got burnt to the point where I never said to myself, no woman would never step out on me. I'm glad I was young and experienced that when I was young. So from that point on, I never said that no woman would never step out on me. It could have happened, and I didn't know about it after that woman. It could have happened, but I probably didn't know. It could have happened. I don't know. But my point is, If you brother and if you sister get into a relationship, always remember there's a possibility that it's going to happen. I'm not trying to scare none of you brothers and sisters that's single not to get married. I'm not trying to scare you. But if you get married, you got to go into your marriage. You got to go in. You got to love your mate unconditionally. That's the key. What is being unconditional? You got to love your mate. You can hate the sin, but love the man or the woman. Hate the deed, but love the man or woman. That's how Jesus do us. He hate the deed, but he love us. So, brother and sister, in order to have a strong relationship, so you can love unconditionally and forgive, it is required. It is pertinent. It's important that Jesus live in you. If Jesus live in you, when the issues of life come up, you will be able to get across these storms of life. Cheating, should you stay or should you leave? If the Lord is with your relationship, you're going to try to work it out. Because just think about it. You're gonna have to look at a whole lot of things. What have that man or woman been doing prior to that? You have to wait. You got to weigh it, my brother and sister. Because let me tell you, my brother and sister, you don't know what's gonna happen. You get in a relationship with someone else. And when you get older, my brother and sister, there's some things that you got to understand. You got to deal with some stuff in life. There's just some things that you're going to have to deal with. Now, worldly people, and some of you brothers and sisters, y'all might look at me and say, that's crazy. That's what some of you all might be saying. That is crazy. But it's not crazy. Forgive and you shall be forgiven. That's the bottom line, my brother and sister. I hope that you all got something out of it, to stay or to leave. Try to work it out. Pray to God. Try to work it out, because the Lord forgive us and he wants us to forgive other people, especially if you are in a serious, committed, and covenant relationship. I love you, brothers. I love you, sisters. Peace out.